So breaking it down, that's what I kind of think about each, I guess, type of character in the roster. I guess whatever mold they fit. But I guess, like, as a whole, like, man, I do have a lot to say, and I'm trying not to go too off about it. I'm gonna say this. First of all, I think it is definitely a better roster than Mortal Kombat X, like, no doubt. And even the characters that did come back that I wasn't super thrilled about, at least improved in some way, or even characters that I was kind of like, they're okay, improved in some way, like Raiden or like Sub-Zero. My problem is, I feel like NetherRealm Studios just kind of takes it, they just play it a little too safe with the roster. I mean, okay, yes, I know, you got like Scarlet. Thrilled she's back. A lot of people weren't totally expecting her. Like, there was definitely requests for her to come back. She wasn't the most expected character to come back. Shao Kahn, I think, if it wasn't for pre-order bonuses, or if he wasn't a pre-order bonus, most of us probably wouldn't have expected him to be in the game. But otherwise, it's like, I feel like, they were doing good with like characters that haven't been in a while, but then they just kind of stopped. They could have gone so much more with it, and I think the roster could have overall been well received for like at least a good portion of people, and they just kind of like, nope, 5, I think, what is it, like 5, I think, 5 or 6, that's it. 5, like 5 to 7, I forget, whatever, around that amount. And I don't understand their attachment to some of these characters, that they can't just let them go for like one game. Like, I don't understand their obsession with like Sonya, Jax, and like Kano. Like, Kano was like he's been like one of the least used characters in the last few games, and they don't want to let him go. But like, and Sonya, like, I understand she's iconic, but it's like, I am not the only person that thinks she's a little kind of boring and played out. And Jax, while I think he's definitely improved in this game, it is definitely my favorite version of Jax. It's like, why do you gotta have him again and Jackie? I just think it's a little too much like special forces, like normal Earthrealm militaristic characters, when like Mortal Kombat has these characters that are like gods, ninjas, monsters, and you just want to focus on like these regular ass humans all the time. And I get it, they're iconic, and I get you want to have staples in the game. Because I think part of the problem with some of the 3D era games, a lot of the characters would just be these brand new characters that were kind of just hit or miss, and it didn't go well with some people. But I feel like now, like, back then Mortal Kombat was still growing, but there's like about 70 characters to pick from. Like, you really want to just stick with like the same, like, I think like maybe like 10, like about like 10 each game. Like, I don't understand why you need, and if you want to just have the roster be like 25 all the time, and like 10, that's 10 characters, that's almost half. Then like all the characters from Mortal Kombat X that were just in that game, okay, yes, they were only in one game. That's like 15 characters, that's more than half the roster. And like, it doesn't leave that much room to kind of bring back favorites that people want it back. And like, I don't know what their hatred is with the 3D era characters are, especially like Fujin. Like, seriously, like, he was one of the most requested characters in this game. Like, Raiden was literally turned like dark in this game. I mean, okay, seeing the story now, I can kind of understand, but like, I don't understand like what their deal is with these characters. And like, like even like Nightwolf, Sindel, or Smoke, and yeah, I know some of them are probably going to be DLC. I know about the Dynamite leaks, but like still, and like that's another thing. Like, I just feel like they use DLC as a crutch way too much to kind of bring back the characters that like we haven't seen in a bit. Like, I understand, the DLC. You want characters to be like appealing to people, so they buy it. That's probably what happened with Fujin. He probably wasn't like like I kind of sort of saw it coming. Like, Fujin would be like the Red Hood of the game, or the Lobo, whether he's a popular character, but he's not someone that everybody and their mom knows or cares about. So he's just better off as a DLC character to kind of bring in the hardcore fans. But like, I still feel like they played it way too safe for this roster. Like, again, it's definitely better than MKX, but I just feel like after this waiting, it could have still been better. It definitely could have still been better. And don't get me started on Rain. Okay, like, again, they had that poll for the male characters missing from MKX that were in MK9. He came in second. We got Noob, Cabal, and Baraka from that poll. Noob did better. Baraka and Cabal did worse than Rain. The female poll, Jade and Scarlet did the best. We got them in the game. Then Sindel and Shiva were third and fourth. Sindel is most likely DLC. Shiva is most likely DLC. The only character that got screwed over is Rain. And let's not forget that, Ed Boon also tweeted the thing about, should Rain be in Mortal Kombat 11, like, I think some years ago. And I think most people said yes. And then of course, that damn Conquer menu. Before the game launched, that character looked just like Rain. Then we saw the character in the crypt, like, okay, I guess it's not Rain. And then they actually changed his appearance on the launch version of the game to fit more of how that guy looks. So, and they even said something about like, oh, Rain has just always been about teasing, the characters and teasing the fans and stuff. And like that attitude, I think, is absolute bullshit. That is, I don't see how you can say this is like a fan, request roster and kind of screw over a character that maybe he wasn't like the top most requested. I would say Noob and Jade and maybe like Fujin were more requested than him. Like, I think that's such a douchebag move. I think it's very unprofessional on their part to kind of tease and not even give a legit good reason. That's not a reason what they gave. And, Rain is my favorite character after Noob Saibot, and he hasn't been playable since Mortal Kombat 9. He was DLC in that game. I don't know what they have against that character. I think it's so stupid. I think it's so dumb, how they treat that character and the fans of it. Not many other fighting games have that. I mean, I guess, I don't know, like Waluigi for Smash Brothers. But I think the issue here is that Rain has been playable before in other games. And they just, for some reason now, just refuse to ever bring him back, even though probably the demand for him is higher than it's ever been. And he doesn't seem to be in the DLC file, so, can't do DLC twice, because even though it's been like 8 friggin' years, 2 games ago, like, the Rain thing has me even more mad than Fujin. Especially because it sounds like Fujin's at least going to be DLC, thank God. And another thing I want to mention, speaking of Rain, is what do they have against the ninjas? Like, Mortal Kombat X had like 4 ninjas on the base roster, and then we had one more Tremors DLC. This game has 3 on the base roster, and it doesn't even seem like there's any more coming. Admittedly, like, okay, yes, it has Noob Saibot, who is my favorite one, and, a lot of people's favorite one. And, like, not even Rain, but, like, Smoke. Like, what the hell do you have against Smoke? Smoke is awesome, and I definitely see a lot of people wanting him back as well. Like, and, again, he's nowhere to be seen as well, and he was in MKX. Like, he was in the story mode, and then you had the Cyborg version as DLC part of Triborg. Like, what do you have against these characters? I don't understand it. Like, what does Noob Saibot count as 2 characters? Because he's technically 2 people? Like, but that's ridiculous. Like, ninjas, to me, always seem like, one of the best parts, and I feel like there's a lot of other people that, really like the ninjas as well. It's one of the most popular parts about Mortal Kombat. I don't know why they're so against using them now, especially when they've kind of evolved so much from just being palette swaps of each other. I don't know what their problem is. I don't know what the problem is with some of their, their older characters that, haven't been in a bit, or, their 3D era characters. I mean, I know, like, it wasn't the most positive era for Mortal Kombat, but it's like, you can reinvent these characters. You did it with Frost. Like, I don't understand why they're so reluctant to do it with some other characters. It's mind-boggling. It's not fair. I feel like they really make it hard being fans of some characters. If you're a fan of, like, any of the characters from Mortal Kombat 1, or at least ever playable in it, you're basically golden. And then it doesn't help that, like, the only characters I really did like in Mortal Kombat X that were, I guess, in previous, they were classic characters, were, I guess, like, Melina, Reptile, and Ermac. And I mean, Kenshi as well. I'm more so talking original trilogy. And neither of them made it back. And, like, honestly, I was fine with them sitting out. I know a lot of people are really upset about Melina, and I do think the way they handled that was not good either. Katana was showing off way too late to kind of pull that crap. With Katana having her Sai, that was kind of messed up, and it didn't help that there was the rumors that she was going to be a secret character, which I know, again, grain of salt. We should have been wary of that. But then you don't bring them back, but then you just bring, like, the typical Special Forces characters back. I don't know what their obsession is with the Special Forces. They've never been a huge focus before. I think maybe MK9 or MKX, but now it's like I don't get it. I think they're very boring and very Hollywood-esque. There definitely does seem like a Hollywood kind of tone to this game, or I guess to the MK games in general. Probably because they're owned by WB Studios, maybe, but I don't really think WB had much of a pull in what I guess Mortal Kombat characters they picked. I thought they were more so just for guests, but I could be wrong. But all this venting aside, trying to put aside, I guess, some of my biases, I think this is still a pretty damn good roster. Like I said, it's definitely better than MKX's roster. And then, of course, there is DLC. And I know I said, it is annoying they use it as a crutch, but you know, if the characters are still coming, the characters are still coming. We at least know for like 100% fact that Shang Tsung is going to be in, and like that's another thing. Like I think Shang Tsung is fine, but like I think most of us kind of expected him to be in the base roster, and like him being a DLC character is kind of frustrating, especially because like while I like the guy, I don't really love him, to be honest. Even though I think it's great they got character Tagawa to play him, I think that's awesome. And it doesn't help, but it also doesn't help. We've only seen him as old Shang Tsung, and I've never been that crazy about that version of him. I'm like, I'm sure he'll have a young version, but you know, we can't really say for sure until we see it. But then, of course, you know, if the data mine is 100% true, you can basically bet that I'm going to have higher opinions of the roster. I just kind of want to, you know, I don't want to, like, you know, count my chickens before they hatch. I just want to make sure they're all officially announced and all before I kind of say anything about them. So I think overall, while I do like this roster, I can't give it higher. If I was to give it a grade, I can't give it higher than a B+. I think there is a lot to love, but there is a lot also of, I think, dumb decisions, or I guess lack of decisions they made with this. And I think if they're going to always play it this safe, I think while 25 is a decent number, it's not a great number if you're going to play it. If you're going to have like the same 10 characters like all the time, it's a little too low of a number. It's a little too low of a number when you have so many characters to choose from, and you always got to have like almost half the roster be the same characters all the time. So while I'm giving it a B+, I can probably guarantee you that if the data mine is true with all the DLC, even if that's all we're getting, even though I hope that's not the case, I hope there's more. If that is all we're getting, it's going to at least go up to an A. It's going to go up to at least a solid A. But yeah, that's basically what I think of the roster. Again, this is all just my opinion. I know some people are going to agree with some of this stuff. Some people are going to disagree with it. It's just what I think of the game roster. I overall really like the game. The roster is still decent. You know, I just kind of want to talk about my thoughts about it because I know it's been like a huge focus of my channel, a huge focus of a lot of, I guess, YouTubers' channels that cover Mortal Kombat. You know, for I guess maybe a couple years now. And I probably will maybe do a video like this when we do know all the DLC characters. At least the 9, I guess, that we know for sure are probably gonna be in the game. So that's about it. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I apologize if it's a little on the longer side. I had a lot to say. Don't forget to check out my friend Mark Yoon in the description below. And as I always say, another time, another place. Keep being awesome.